Earthbound-like, a term inspired by Souls-like, but instead of the main gimmick being that you get the shit beat out of you, it refers to games, typically RPGs, that have non-conventional battle styles and a rather quirky yet dark atmosphere. Some games get this right, like Undertale, Omori, and Lisa the Painful, and then you have Yick, and yes, that is totally the correct pronunciation of the title. Yep. Totally correct. But what if I told you that one of the best Earthbound likes isn't even out yet? Everyone, welcome to Demo Rush. After Undertale and Lisa came out, a lot of people started to put their Earthbound likes on Kickstarter, many of which were successful. People at this time were craving the Mother 2 aesthetic, so games like Oddventure, Boot Hill Heroes, and got funded rather quickly, both from the Mother community and the Undertale and Lisa fandoms. Let's not talk about the Omori Kickstarter though, that's a memory most people want to forget. Glitched by N-House Studios, however, is a success story that, while currently incomplete, has a great demo with fourth wall breaking fun. Despite being funded 5 years ago with multiple delays, N-House, or Nico, has managed to so far realize his vision, and it is an ambitious one. Glitch's story is an unconventional one where you play as Conrad, where you play as Gus, who is trying to find his missing friend that the town doesn't seem to remember, leaving betwixt oh god, even when I leave Dark Souls it follows me. Gus sets out to save his friend and his hometown. I love the trope of the unlikely hero, it's even in the RPG I'm playing myself, so I was hooked immediately. The story also manages to take the topics of existentialism and predetermination and make them less artsy and complicated, which I think many players who just want to chill will love. There's also an integral B-plot where Frog Incorporated, who are essentially the game masters of Glitch, are trying to fix the world and get you to play someone worthy of being a hero. I'm not going to go too much into the story because I really think you should play the demo yourself, but for one last note, an important part of Glitch is that you, yes you, are a character in the game. Gus will turn to talk to you and you can respond to what he says from a variety of choices. I feel like the consistent conversations actually aid the fourth wall breaking, making them seem less like a gimmick and more like a storytelling device. Your first choice in the game is actually whether to save Gus or not, and you can actually leave him for dead. But I won't do this because, oh no. The game also has what's called the essence system, where depending on what your primary essence is, the game's routes and dialogues will change. I like this because this actually makes it feel like your choices matter. The game will pop up and tell you what choices affect your essence most of the time, thankfully, so if you want a Harmony playthrough and not a Zeal playthrough, boom, there you go. The game also avoids grinding by having every battle be story related and not random, which is a neat idea. Battling is also done by selecting skills, which require you to spend charges to use. Skills themselves only have a limited amount of uses, but you can get them back using the refresh mechanic. Characters also have quirks, which can do things like adding bonus effects or free heals. The game also gets rid of the leveling up system found in most RPGs, and while this might sound bad on paper, Nico has managed to make it work with the game. Instead, you get experience by doing, well, anything. Talk to people, do quests for people, look around the world, anything will get you experience. In the last 15 minutes of the demo. The characters in Glitched are also very well written, and that's mostly due to their own relationships and conflicting yet harmonious personalities with each other. Their designs are cool as well. Holy shit, what the fuck, why are you telling me to stay creamy? Don't tell me to stay creamy. Characters also have their own essences, which change how they interact with the world as well. This is an interesting mechanic that I'll be looking forward to exploring once the full game's out. The music for the game gives off both an original feel as well as a Mother vibe, and, well, it's quite enjoyable to listen to. For other little Mother nods, you have the battle backgrounds, which have scrolling parallaxes, and the primary mud background very much feels like a reference to naming your characters in Earthbound. Flavor text, flavor text, flavor text, flavor text. Also, Finally, a game that allows you to turn flashing effects off. I kept them on for the video's sake, but as an epileptic, thank you. Now, the game has many positives, but unfortunately it has some problems as well, though not nearly as many. I'm pretty sure this is a game that requires you to go into big picture mode for your controller to be set up properly. I spent way too long trying to reconfigure my controller for the WASD layout on my Xbox One controller and ended up with this. For some reason, the bumper and shoulder buttons aren't connected to any keys, so I circumvented that by having my magic stuff be set to the D-pad. Barely annoying to set up, but that might have just been my Bastion kicking in. The demo had maybe 1 or 2 shops the whole time, which made me very happy I chatted with everyone before leaving Betwixt, because I got extra healing items. To be fair, the areas are pretty long and there aren't too many battles, but I didn't even get a single armor upgrade and there were barely any healing items at shops. I also don't know how I feel about the currency system. I only used a couple different ones and that was to get the mud. Seriously, buy this. If you don't, you won't have a menu. And some items in Covewood. I didn't really know what to do with the frog coins. They kind of just sat there. I think quirks could have been explained better. I didn't know how to actually activate them until a while in. But hey, maybe I'm just stupid. Without spoiling the actual event, there is an unexpected animal death in the demo, and while it didn't particularly bother me, I felt the aftermath was a bit much even for pixelated graphics, and maybe could be toned down a bit. If you do have an aversion to that sort of thing, it is thankfully very clear when it is going to happen, and it's only there for a short time, but yeah, maybe just clean the blood up a bit. To be honest, it's actually a really good sign of the dev's ability in storytelling, and I would still recommend you play it, but just be careful. Wait, I got too positive in the negative segment. So this next point is a bit of a weird one. The demo's too long. Most demos I play usually average 20 to 30 minutes, an hour at most. But my time was glitched. Was 4 hours. I loved my time, don't get me wrong, but I really hope this isn't an example of too much of a good thing. I hope the dev still has a lot of content in store for the final product, which I'm confident he does given the 5-year development cycle, but yeah, it was very long and I had to break into multiple play sessions. I actually feel a bit guilty I couldn't do multiple playthroughs to see everything in the demo. It would just be too much footage. Overall though, what do I think about Glitch? Despite a few shortcomings, they are nothing too major. In terms of controllers, it is designed for PCs more than consoles, so I get why it needs big picture mode, and most of the other stuff might just be because of the game's own big picture. The positives far outweigh the negatives here, with great storytelling, fun gameplay, unique systems, and awesome music. And for a game that restarted from scratch 2 years in and switched engines, that is impressive. So in the end, Glitch gets a healthy 4.5 out of 5. Geez, second episode and we already have a game above Resident Evil Village. Keep doing your magic, indie devs. Hello and welcome to the outro! I hope you enjoyed this episode featuring Glitch. The Twitters and stuff for In-House Studios, the game, and the publisher are in the description. I am still working on the Dark Souls video, but I'm going to be releasing demo rushes, and maybe some So I've Been Playings either every 2 weeks or every month depending on what demos I come across. In fact, if you want to see more of these, either comment below or go to my Twitter and reply on the pinned comment with the demo you want me to check out. These can be from any platform, Steam, itch.io, GameJolt, and I'll try to take a look if I can. I just ask for no NSFW games unless they have a safe for work patch. By NSFW, I don't mean M-rated or PEGI 18, I mean stuff you find on Steam that should really be moderated. I really want to help indie devs even with my small sub count, and in fact, if you have or know of any Kickstarters or just an indie dev yourself, feel free to shoot me a DM on Twitter or email me. My business email is in the description of my channel. Dark Souls will not have a release date. Once again, thanks, like and subscribe if you like the video and want to see more, and I will hopefully see you next time.